Yeah, so the goal of this session today, this webinar, is about the new Research Horizon Navigator. That is a module available now in InCites Benchmarking and Analytics. And I will present how it is built, why we build it, and how you can use it for different use cases. I see more people joining. There is a classic question about the presentation. The presentation is will be shared with you. You'll also get access to the recording, and within a few days, you'll also receive a certificate of participation, along with my contact details. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact, and we can have an offline discussion. Okay, so that's the agenda for today's webinar. I'll start speaking about the research landscape. Then I'll introduce the Research Horizon Navigator. I'll explain briefly the methodology that we use to define and identify the emerging topics. And then we'll focus on few use cases. So how you can discover, explore, and use the emerging topics in the platform. I'll spend some time on explaining how we measure interdisciplinarity of research. And then I'll focus on future developments, different features, functionalities that you'll see soon in the platform. And then we'll finish with some takeaways and a link to resources. All right, so let me start with the research landscape. So when we talk about research, there is in the scientific academic research ecosystem, we know that there are some pressures to produce work more quickly, to address changes, issues in society, and those pressures come from government, the academia system as well, the academia environment, and funders, right? And what we've seen is that with each year, there is more and more research being produced, published, and we know based on data. So you see there is the source there, the reference, that's a report from 2021. The growth rate in articles has continued to increase, and there is an average growth of between 6.5% between 2015 and 2020. So that is a big increase of research being produced, published, and being made available. The problem is that when you have a huge amount of research, and that continues to grow, we need some tools, new tools to discover and make practical use of the work that is being published. There was in 2023, last year, global research report by ISI, and that report focused on China's research landscape, the landscape of research in China. And ISI analyzed their emerging research using the same methods that I will cover today in the that are used to develop the Horizon Navigator. So in short, ISI evaluated the core papers and their co-citation papers, and they found that there was a shift of the global research landscape, and something that you can do very quickly with the Web of Science or InCites. You will see that China now produces more output in emerging research areas, such as green technologies, than the US and European Union countries. So, of course, institutions, but also countries and researchers as well, you need tools that keep you ahead of the competition, so that you look at, research from a forward-looking perspective. What research is emerging on the horizon. So that's why we call it the Horizon Research Navigator. And the third point here in this slide is the big challenges. So if we talk about the SDGs, for example, these goals are by nature interdisciplinary, because they touch so many different aspects of society. So as a reminder, those goals, SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, they've been defined by the United Nations, and countries have committed to address those goals for example, poverty, access to water resources, life on land, and so on. So all these goals are really touching different aspects of society. And there is a study from Strengths, so that is 2022 report. And this organization, Strengths, they assessed how well we are addressing and prioritizing our work again against those goals, the SDGs. And they found that there was a significant misalignment between existing research output and our goals. So if we know that we have society goals, big challenges, and we do research, so they found that there is a misalignment, but obviously we want to address that misalignment so that we focus on those important goals. And of course, to see progress on such research, we need to see an increase in interdisciplinarity, but also international collaboration. These goals are global goals. They are really international issues that need to be addressed. And by using that tool, you see that you can assess the interdisciplinarity of research output, and you can discover collaborators, institutions that can help you to better align your strategies to these goals. All right, so let's move on. Next slide here. So given that state of research that I just mentioned, so research institutions, they need solutions that provide insights into these new emerging research topics, right? So you want to know what is breaking on the research horizon, and that can provide you some insights, some thinking that can guide your research strategy. So now we're introducing this new tool called Research Horizon Navigator. It is a module available within the InCites Benchmarking Analytics platform or website. And it helps you to innovate in the areas which have a huge or big velocity. So these are emerging topics that are being developed very quickly, right? So you can anticipate and see how they are developing over time, and you will see that they are defined by researchers in their citation behavior. So researchers themselves, when they write papers, they cite the literature, and by using citation data, you can group papers, and you will see some trends emerging. So you will see that, okay, this is an interesting new pocket of activity and interest, and that creates basically an emerging topic. Right, and it will also provide the information about the interdisciplinarity of that topic, and you need that information to invest in those fields. So of course, this is more like forward-looking or forward-thinking strategy. You get some insights on research trends, and then you can make some decisions about partnerships, but also identify talents, researchers that you might want to collaborate with or hire, for example. And you also have some information about funding and resources. So let's have a look. So as I mentioned, the Research Horizon Navigator is a module within InCites Benchmarking Analytics, and it is available to all subscribers. So all people who have access to InCites will see the Research Horizon Navigator in module within InCites. So the data is updated monthly and is currently returning over 10,000 emerging research topics. So you can start your discovery using a simple keyword search term, or by entering through a subject area category. For example, here, as you can see, so I can just type in a keyword or select a category, or just go here, and I'm interested in chemistry, for example. I see there are 477 emerging topics, right, that are grouped within 21 categories. All right, so here again, what I want to mention in this slide is that it has three main key features in InCites. So the first one is the identification, how you can explore and identify those emerging topics, right? The second feature is the interdisciplinarity indicator. So it shows how emerging topic is multidisciplinary, right? So it has an indicator value 0 to 1, 1 being the highest possible value, showing that if that topic has 0.99, for example, that is a topic of very high interdisciplinarity nature. Okay. So then here we're talking about AI in terms of using AI. So that is more like we call these topics. So I'll show you some examples later on, right? Where you will see that some topics have like a name. These names are generated with AI so that you can easily understand what it is about. All right, so in terms of methodology, we use what we call the emerging topics methodology. So it is founded on 50 years of research conducted by the ISI group, the Institute for Scientific Information. And here what we use is that highly cited papers that are frequently co-cited are grouped together. And these areas of intensive publication push the emerging topic forward. So let me explain how it looks like. In short, our methodology groups papers or clusters papers together based on both similarity and recency. So we look at recent papers. To be an emerging topic, obviously, we're talking about recent papers. And that methodology provides like a perspective on what's new that we can achieve through direct citation or keyword based analysis, right? So of course, if you look at when you do a search using keywords or basic citation analysis, this method would perform less or differently than the methodology that we're using here. We're looking at all Web of Science core collection, journal and conferences here. And so if you look at this slide here, we have so highly cited papers, but then you have, when you look at those papers, okay, so that's what we define by an area of intensive publication. And that this group of papers is pushing the emerging topic forward, right? But if you look back in history, those papers are co-citing those papers. And that's what we call core papers. These 1, 2, 3, 4 are defined as core papers. They are highly cited papers that are frequently co-cited, and we group them. So you will see that all of these define an emerging topic. The core papers and the co-citing papers. All of this is the emerging topic. But in the emerging topic, we have core papers. So these are the few papers being often co-cited by those papers, those recent papers. Okay. I think it will be more clear once I'll show you in the platform how it looks like. On top of this, so the previous slide is how we identify those topics, but we also have an indicator that gives you an idea of how a topic is interdisciplinary, right? So we know science, when it's addressing big issues, big challenges, it tends to be in multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, all right? So that metric shows how topics form, grow, but also merge across different fields like humanities, science, social sciences, and that form distinctive new fields. So if you look at artificial intelligence, for example, or if we look at generative AI, that's a good example. You have a combination of mathematics, but computer science because you need powerful hardware, but you also have like language, right? Where we manipulate natural language and you process a text, which is basically using, coding of the language, which is linguistics, right? So here what we what I show here is that this index is measuring how broadly the cluster of papers that make up the imaging topic spans different fields. So if you look back here, some of these papers might be related or published about topics in a different, from different various fields, right? So that's what we look at here. And so you can put that index in context to understand if the imaging topic is narrow or diverse. Here, the highest, for example, you would have the highest level of interdisciplinarity in that index. Your imaging topic has 0.62, but in that topic, the highest level is 0.66. So it's quite interdisciplinary compared to the topics of the same group. And then we also give you the mean value, right? So here, that's what I say here. The figure above shows the interdisciplinarity index 0.62 for that imaging topic that has a number, but you'll see it also has a name. Of the total papers compared to the minimum value is 0.33 and the maximum is 0.66, right? So it's the interdisciplinarity index is measuring that interdisciplinary aspect of a topic between 0 and 1. Okay. Yeah, so as I mentioned, the third key feature is the use of artificial intelligence. And the goal of using the AI here is really to make things more simple. So, of course, we use citation, co-citation data, citation data to define those topics, right? Which are defined at the author level by using the keywords. But then you get some groups of papers, and then you can, using AI, assign a title, a name of the group of that papers, those papers, sorry, a name for that group of papers that represents the papers within the imaging topic. So because we're grouping papers that are quite technical, and the authors, they use their own keywords and so on, so that can be a bit more complex than what research managers or researchers can understand. We use generative AI to assign a label, a title for each group of papers, which is each topic, right? So for example, here, this is a screenshot from the Research Horizon Navigator. So you can conduct a search, as I mentioned earlier, by keyword. If you have a specific research area in mind, you're interested in seeing. And most often you may want to start from the category level, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, I work in chemistry. Let's have a look at what's happening in chemistry. So I would have the high level, which is chemistry, and within chemistry, I would have emerging topics. And then here you can review all emerging topics within a category, or you can review the total emerging topics in one singular view, like a table like that. And you can use the filter on the left-hand side to make your search more specific to your needs. Okay. So here I was looking at astrobiology. It has 16 emerging topics. Those names, as I mentioned earlier, are generated by generative AI. And as you can see, those topics are coming from different categories. So the primary category, this is a topic in ophthalmology, right? Then you have EEE, and then you have math, and then you have information science and library science and microbiology. But all of this creates different topics related to my keywords of my keyword of interest, which was astrobiology. So you can filter the emerging topics list by keywords category. You can filter the documents by author, institution, country, and more. For each topic, you will see that each topic is actually a group of papers. So 251. That is also quite interesting. Use case, you can start from here. If you do like a literature review, maybe those 251 papers, they deserve some attention. So maybe you can have a look at those papers. And then we give you the mean co-citation publication year, right? So if you look at the co-citation data, is it done at a recent, is it more or less recent? Like here, it's 2022, 2022.4, and so on. And then again, that value, that measure of interdisciplinarity, so 0.74 here, it's sorted on this measure. So this is the topic which has the highest interdisciplinary aspect, right? Okay, so on top of that, you get, when you pick a topic, so let's say I picked the previous one, sorry, this one, right? When I look at this, so I think it might be different. Here, I have the group of papers that create that topic with that ID #2481. For each paper, you have a bubble here, and you have a distinction between core papers and co-citing. So out of 150 papers, 15 of them are core papers, right? So these are the ones that are commonly co-cited by the co-citing papers, right? And they have this tag, the core paper, and the title, and you see them here, right? Dark purple, and the big bubbles here. You can put your mouse on every, or mouse over those papers, and you'll get the title, the categories, the author names or authors list, publication date, number of citations, and the abstract, along with the keywords of the authors. And of course, you can go back, click on the title, and go back to the Web of Science to get to know more about that specific paper. So the interest, or the value of this map, is really to follow relationship between papers and their authors. So you can see what areas in your portfolio as a researcher, but also in the field, are unique. So again, you can click on each paper to go back to the Web of Science and view the full publication record. You can actually, so this is the citation map view, right? So that's where you can see the connection, and it shows how the papers within the group of papers, the imaging topic, how they're connected and who's being cited, the core papers, the co-citing papers, and so on. Okay, so what you could also do is, you might want to go and deeper and drill down into an emerging topic. So if I pick that topic that we named Advancing Sustainability in Higher Education, Integrating SDGs and Green Initiatives. So you have primary category, the secondary category of those papers, number of papers, total papers, some statistics about total citations, co-citing papers, right? If you have a subscription to Pivot RP, you can explore the funding opportunities related to those topics. And we also show the author keywords. So of course, when it comes to sustainability in higher education, so we see SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals, sustainability, sustainable development, higher education, and so on. All these are author keywords. So, so of course, that word cloud can show you how the authors are defining the topics. Okay, so let me show you a quick demo of the Horizon Navigator. All right, so you do have access to a chat and a Q&A section in the in WebEx. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so let me go to my. So I'll come back to that. Okay. 1 second. So I just go to InCites. Okay. Okay, so now you should see InCites. So let me log in. Second. Yeah, so this is InCites. I think most of you are familiar with InCites. So it's built on Web of Science data, Web of Science core collection data, right? So this is what we use to build InCites. And so I just went there. Yeah, I just went to InCites, so you can access InCites from the product in the header. And you'll see that you have the Research Horizon Navigator module within InCites. So let me show you here with few cases. Okay. Yeah. So for example, if you know already what you're working on or what you're interested in or the analysis that you want to do. So first of all, here you'd have a detailed definition of what an emerging topic is. So I can search by keyword or go through those categories, right? So let's do, for example, sustainability. So I went a bit quick, but if right, so I have a category that is called green and sustainable science and technology. So that's a field in the Web of Science. But if I search this keyword, I get 2,845 emerging topics. Those emerging topics, remember, they are groups of core papers and co-cited papers, right? So that's what we mean by an emerging topic. It has matched papers, 8 papers talking about sustainability in this topic out of 547 which define this topic. These 547 papers, it's actually 25 core papers and 532 co-cited papers. And out of these 8 papers that match my keyword in this emerging topic, 1 of them is a core paper and 7 of them are co-cited papers. So it's a different way of doing a search in InCites, right? And in here, you will see the categories. So when we talk about that topic, it's mainly, so these are papers in information science and library science. Some topics have a secondary category, right? For example, that is an interesting topic, emerging topic. Advancing secure, intelligent image transmission and healthcare innovation through AI and material science. So here we're talking about nanoscience, but since we're also talking about material science, it's also material science multidisciplinary, right? Let's have a look at this one, right? So I click on the topic. I want to know more about this topic. Let me take another one. This one is pretty big. Let me take let me take this one, for example. Doesn't really matter. I just want to show you the features. So by default here we're looking at the map, right? I see it has 9 core papers. Okay, so if I click here, you see I just put my mouse over that paper by Jingyu Zhu in 2020. It has a core tag, and it is a paper from published in June 2020. So I can open that record again. I can go back to the Web of Science, and so let me close this. That. Yeah, so here I have the paper again. It is a highly cited paper, right? And I can get more details about this this paper. Yeah, and then you have those co-citing papers. You see, it's a different tag, co-citing papers. This big one, dark green, is also a core paper. I have another core paper here, and so on. You'll see the core papers have a dark, like a bigger, thick line, a thicker line as a rectangle in the list here. Okay, so you have 1 here, 2, 3, and so on. So you have the legend, core paper, core and co-citing paper, co-citing paper, cited by paper. So these are the citation, and in orange is citing paper, the citations that we show here, right? Then you can view the details. So now I'm just looking at the topic itself. Like I want more information. I want the micro topics. So you'll find the classification that we have in Web of Science and InCites. So these are topics defined based on citations, right? So these are, again, another classification of papers. So here we're talking about deep learning, feature selection, and so on. But if I'm interested in the keywords of the authors, now it's slightly different, right? So we're talking about machine learning. So this is what researchers mainly put in their papers. And then you will have some information about the interdisciplinarity of that field. It's pretty high. This one, it has the highest, actually. The highest interdisciplinarity is 0.79. The topic I'm looking at has the highest interdisciplinarity index or value in that primary WAS category, which was information. It is computer science, artificial intelligence. So here we're looking at the category from the Web of Science, the 254, but then you have the emerging topic, all right, that is defined by co-citation linkages, highly cited papers, and in that field, artificial intelligence, computer science, the lowest value is 0.32. And then what's interesting is who is contributing to that topic. So we find University of Munich in Germany, University of London, Warsaw in Poland, and so on. And then we give you the list of that institution, list of papers for that institution. So University of Munich, all right, in that particular topic, we have 7.56% of the papers. And 3 of them are core papers, right? So you remember so it's 33% of the core papers in the topic are coming from this specific institution. So that's also an interesting information to benchmark institutions, right? And then you have here contributing papers that contribute to this specific topic. So you can go here in the top. So if you go down, you'll see that there is a menu, citation topic, emerging new fields, top contributors, contributing papers that contribute to that topic. And you can view the list, all of them, in the Web of Science. So that will create a query, just a query in the Web of Science, with the UT codes, basically the list of papers, right? So 172. And here it's a different search, right? It's a different search query. I'm interested in what's happening in a specific topic, the emerging topic in science, in my field. All right. Let's see if I can take another one. I still want to show you a few few slides as use cases. If we take another, I'm not sure, let's take computer science, and I'm interested in, again, information science library. So now I'm starting from the field, which is the primary category, right? All of these are groups of categories, right? In clinical medicine, you have 57 Web of Science categories. Allergy, anesthesiology, general medicine, of course, and so on. So obstetrics, pathology, everything related to clinical medicine. So that's also a good starting point. If you don't know where to start, you can start from these groups of categories, right? And within the categories, so if I take computer science, I'm interested in information science, library science. It has 17 topics. Each topic has a group of papers, which are either core papers or co-citing papers, right? So here you can browse and say, okay, what am I interested in? Exploring the impact of ChatGPT and university rankings in global science. That's an interesting topic. Obviously, imagine ChatGPT was not there, let's say 1 or 2 years ago, right? So you can evaluating research quality, matrix bias in interdisciplinary perspectives. So you have 16 papers. 3 of them are core papers, 13 are co-citing papers, and it's a mix of social sciences and information science and library science. So that's how you can see the categories. You can browse the categories like that, or you have the list of categories, which is also possible. So environmental sciences has the highest number of emerging topics, right? And so on. So there are many ways to explore the tool. So there is a question from Hisham who says, is the Research Horizon Navigator tool freely accessible? If you have access to InCites, yes, it is. So I'm not sure where you're based, Hisham. If you could mention to me your institution or where you're based, I can tell you if you have access, just on top of my mind. Another question, can I see the classification of specializations for a specific country or university through Research Horizon Navigator? Yes. So if you go here, emerging topics, you can put a filter on institution or country, right? Simple as that. You just put your filter here, and then you can refine on that field and see the contribution of that country in that specific field, and the same for the institution. And there will be more analysis possible at the institutional and country level, so that you can benchmark using Research Horizon Navigator, right? So if we say, so for example, so if I scroll down and say, I'm not sure, let's say, right? So here, the US comes first, China, England, and so on. This is by number of papers, but I can, so this would be a rank. Like Egypt, for example, let's have a look at Egypt. Egypt, 2,592 emerging topics. And against each here topic, you would have the papers that are contributed to by the country. Hisham from, okay, Abdel Malik Sadi. So that is in Morocco. In Morocco, you do have access to InCites. So you need to access InCites from, if you haven't accessed it yet, you need to access it for the first time from eMist. Through CNRST subscribes to the platform. And once you have access to InCites, in the top, you have access to the Research Horizon Navigator. Okay, so I wanted to show you and finish with these few slides to explain some use cases, so how you can use the platform. So some possible use cases. of course, research and development. So you want to align your efforts with the latest trends. Strategic collaboration. So if you want to focus on emerging topics, so you can also have an idea of who else is active on a field, because you have that information at the institutional level and you can establish partnerships. Changes, because you want to stay up to date regarding the latest developments, right? So you can adapt. Countries, so similar to what institutions can do at the country level, government agencies who monitor, for example, research strategy, funding. You can focus on areas that drive that growth, but also economic growth, technology leadership at the global stage level. Public policy, so if you want to work on strategies and put in place the right policies, so you want to identify those emerging topics that can help policymakers to understand those challenges and opportunities, and you want to create forward-looking regulations. So let's say for the past 5 years, that's what we've done. For the next 5 years, here's what we need to do. We need to focus on these specific topics. And funders, of course, some funders like NIH, NSF, ERC, European Research Council, they use insights into emerging topics to guide their funding strategies. So they need such data to fund research that is in demand, that is needed by society. So some questions that you can get some answers with the Research Horizon Navigator. So for example, what are new and emerging areas of research? Which emerging topics show high level of interdisciplinarity, sorry. What emerging topics in my field are gaining the most from interdisciplinary studies? Then you can also ask such questions like, what emerging topics align with our institution's focus areas? So if we know that institution ABC has a focus on computer science and it has a group of researchers active on artificial intelligence, then perhaps that can help them to focus on those areas. And also you can compare and say, so we had a look, for example, earlier at that university in Germany, and we've seen that they had relatively high share of papers that define that emerging topics. And then benchmarking. How do we benchmark against peers? So again, back to the previous question in the chat. So I want to identify peers, potential competitors, but also potential competitors or potential collaborators. Yeah, and of course, other questions, who are the top organizations and authors involved in these emerging topics? So you just put the name of the topic, you do an analysis on institutions, but also you'll get the list of authors active in that topic. If you take back that data and you dig a little bit, you'll see that you'll also have some information at the funding level. So who is funding research on these specific topics? And yeah, and similar to the institution analysis, you can also do that at the country level, right? So here, what are the new and emerging areas? So understand what categories are prominent. So we'll see here, we've seen that earlier, environmental sciences. If I pick environmental sciences, I have 523 emerging topics. Here, these are different topics. And then again, each topic I have a list of papers that build or that are in those topics. So that is a quick use case, quite interesting for literature review as well. And then you can also understand what emerging topics are made of. So you can drill down for more details, right? So what I've shown earlier, you would have the list of core papers you see with the bold, I would say the thick green line, right? Or the big dark green circles, right? So these are the core papers. And then I can represent that and go down and see citation topics and author keywords. Demonstrating your contribution to the leading edge of research. So at the institutional level, top contributors for a specific topic or top authors as well. So here you see what I had earlier, right? So if I pick now chemistry, let's pick just one of them. Let's say organic chemistry or medicinal chemistry, right? One of them. I want to view the details, so it's still loading the map. I want to view the details here, and if I go down again, I have the interdisciplinarity. I want the top contributors. I have the institution, right? I have the funders. So EU is funding or participated in the funding of several projects that and it does those papers, right? And also authors. So these authors are quite active on this specific topic, right? And of course, I can read their papers. And of course, countries, right? So I can focus on total papers, but also on core papers. So in terms of number of core papers in this topic, China comes first, 46, right? Sorry, four core papers, Portugal, 4 core papers. In terms of total papers, Portugal has more, 51. So we could say Portugal has 4 out of 51, 4 papers out of 51 papers. China has 4 out of 46. 4 core papers out of 46 papers in this topic. All right. Yeah, so we can do that at the institution level, author level. So these would be the top experts, opinion leaders in this topic, and the same country level and funding agencies. So what I've just shown earlier, right? And then, for example, here I'm looking at 2 institutions. So I do 2 analyses. One, I filter on University of Zurich. So that's what I mentioned earlier. You could do that for country Egypt, and then country Morocco, and then for Ghana. And then I'm interested in which country has the highest level of contribution to emerging topics. So here I compare University of Zurich, 1,269, University of Geneva, 887, right? And then I see the contribution. So here, information science, library science comes quite often. So here, that's interesting because you want to stay relevant, but also competitive and impactful. So you would know your peer institutions, right? Yeah, so, and then you could do the same, as I mentioned earlier, how my organization or country is positioned. So for example, here I look at a university in Belgium, right? I see the categories, but then, so this is the primary categories that we retrieve in InCites. And we see that this university is quite active in EEE, right? That's where you have the highest number of papers, but it is actually in biochemistry, which is the 4th field or category or discipline where this institution is mostly active. So that is quite interesting. So there might be something to be done there. So you can compare with the other research areas that your institution is focusing on, and then you can perhaps align and say, well, we produce less in biochemistry, but when we producing paper in this category, we have more contribution to emerging topics. And then you can also go down to the citation topic. So So here, that would be the classification of the paper itself. So you can retrieve that at the citation topic level. And you can compare. So for example, GAN, all right, or generative adversarial networks, if I put that as a search query in emerging topics, I want to see those publications. Are they contributing to these emerging topics? And then another question is, how emerging is your research output? So you can estimate the innovative potential of your research. So you look at cybersecurity, for example, graphene. So these would be some emerging topics, right? Linear metrics, inequalities. And then you can say, I put a filter on my institution. Yeah, okay, turquoise management, I don't contribute to that emerging topic, right? So that is also something that you could do. Here, in short, results of a document search will return any emerging topic that has at least one paper relevant to your search term, right? So I search on this and I didn't find any paper that we're active on contributing to an emerging topic. Right, and then here, if I take a primary category, right, agriculture, dairy, animal science, I'm interested in those papers. And I can also sort. For example, if you sort emerging topics list, you can find those recent ones that are still represented by relatively small number of publications. So this may indicate potential demand for more discoveries in that specific areas. So this is related to, this is based on Web of Science core collection data. So you can always go back to the Web of Science and do a search, right? And then you can analyze the results, okay? And on author keywords, and then you can analyze by author names. So this is also something you could do in the Web of Science. I talked about interdisciplinarity of research. Of course, that's very important because, as I said earlier, major issues, major challenges globally are interdisciplinary. Quick reminder, many funding agencies, right, they have specific funding opportunities, calls for interdisciplinary research. And these programs, they aim to foster, motivate collaboration across disciplines and even across countries, institutions, to provide financial support on those innovative products. Same at the publication journal level. Some journals are multidisciplinary, but they also, some of them focus on interdisciplinary research, like Nature Communication, PLOS ONE, Science Advances. So if you target those journals, having a contribution to an interdisciplinary topic definitely helps. Also at the university, but country level, there are some initiatives, policies that are put in place to provide support for such interdisciplinary research. So that might be that might take the form of internal funding, incentives, recognition programs, and so on, like seed grants, awards, and so on. So I talked about the SDGs. That's also something that we are very much aware of in academia, where academia has an important role to play to address those goals. So again, you've seen that. If I take a topic, you'll see I can sort on the interdisciplinarity index, and I'll find that topic has the highest interdisciplinary T level in that category, right? Yeah. That's interesting. You see, for example, some linkages between categories: family studies and physics, astronomy, astrophysics, and rheumatology, social work and physics, right? So that is quite interesting. And there's a full page. You'll get the presentation that explains how the interdisciplinary index is calculated and defined. Right, so here you can sort on interdisciplinarity. Simply click on the tag. You can go back in the Web of Science and see the list of papers as I've done earlier. And yeah, and you can do a citation report. So for example, I have those 125 papers. On average, they accumulate 77 citations, right? So that is interesting. Right, and then you can extend your analysis. So you can view the articles in the Web of Science, you can export them to the Web of Science, and then you can export them back to InCites, and then you can do the classic analysis. If you're not comfortable, you don't have time to do it, you have specific requirements, we have a group, ENG consultancy, that can help you with such analysis. Right. So in terms of future developments, and I'll finish on this, we'll work on semantic search. So you want to search those topics by using a natural language. There will be more filters to do those analysis, like benchmarking institutions side by side or countries side by side. And we will use those emerging topics as a new research category, categorization or classification within InCites across all modules, like authors, institutions, countries, journals, funders, and publishers. If you have any ideas, if you have access to InCites, play with the module. If you have any feedback, let us know, and we'd be happy to look at that. So, as I mentioned in my agenda, last point, key takeaways. You're interested in having information about the areas which have high level of development velocity. So these are typically emerging topics on the research horizon. You want to invest in those fields that have an interdisciplinary aspect or nature, and you want to inform strategy and policy, right? So you can demonstrate your research contribution, identify partnership, and a benchmark against peers. So that's all from my end. You'll have the presentation that includes these resources and access to support as well. So you will see that in the platform there are some guiding tips. You have so if you click on the question mark, this will give you some tips within the module. But there's also a link to the help documentation and some videos that you can watch to learn more about the platform. So that's all from my end. Hope you found the session useful. Feel free to contact me. You'll get an email from me with the presentation, the link to the recording. You'll also get your certificate of participation. So you'll have my contact details if any other questions. I see we're running out of time. Feel free to let me know, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and take care. Thank you very much. Bye.